So I want to make this video about looking at the world, about how we look at the world, how we can look at the world, more useful ways to look at the world, less useful ways to look at the world. It's 40 degrees here, so I decided to do this video inside, and it's just struck me how similar this is to my old office setup. I've got myself a black leather sofa instead of a brown leather sofa. Haven't got my pictures up on the wall, but other than that, it's pretty similar. So home from home here, apart from the 40-degree heat outside. So how to look at the world. Why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about how to look at the world? I've been thinking about this a lot over the last few months because I do a lot of reading, research, exploration into what it is that's going on in the world. And there are a lot of sources of information out there, contradictory, coming in from all sorts of places. It's difficult to separate signal from noise. And a lot of the stuff that I read can leave me quite rattled, quite upset in some ways, because a lot of the stuff I read paints a very bleak picture of the state of our planet, of us as human beings, you know, what we do, paint pictures of us as being greedy, as being destructive, as being hate-filled, as being murderous, and it can look really bleak. Now, I'm also a guy who coaches people on how to engage with the world in creative ways, you know, in how to make the differences you want to make in the world, how to live a more fulfilling and engaged life, and all of these kind of things. And you know, there's a jarring thing that's going on there, because it seems to me, I'm a great believer in switching up consciousness, you see. I'm a great believer in informing yourself. I'm a great believer in looking to see what's there in the world. Not averting your eyes, but looking to see what's there, warts and all. But at the same time, I appreciate that if you are going to engage with life in a proactive and creative way, having your state of mind utterly destroyed, having your vision becoming nothing but bleak, does not serve. So there's, for me at least, there's a balance to be struck between looking at the world and also keeping your state of mind, so you can proactively show up and engage with the world in positive ways. You know, if the world isn't how you would like it to be, how would you like it to be? How can you contribute to that? And I would say that you can contribute to that. I have discussions with people who throw their arms up in despair and say there's nothing we can do about what's wrong with the world. I disagree. I think there's a lot that can be done and is being done. Now, the reason I'm making this video right now is because in a private WhatsApp group that I'm a member of, there's been a discussion of a film called Cowspiracy over the last few days. Now, I haven't seen this film, Cowspiracy, but the people in the group who have seen the film have been deeply moved by the film. I would say deeply upset by the film. They've come out saying, you know, this is wrong, this is disgusting, what's going on, what's being done to the planet, that it's something worth worrying about, and I understand all that. I've not seen the film, but I've seen other films which have impacted me in the same way. I'm remembering Shock Doctrine, watching Shock Doctrine. I'm remembering watching The Corporation, all manner of films where you think this is wrong, there is injustice here, there is wrongness here. And what I wanted to say to the people in the group is, look, what you've got there is one narrative, and it's a bleak narrative. And I'm not saying the narrative isn't reflective of some of what's going on in the world, right? Every narrative about what's going on with the planet, with humanity, all of this kind of thing. You know, each one of them has some truth to it. I read Maajid Nawaz's excellent book, Radical, recently, and Maajid Nawaz is a guy who was a former recruiter for a radical Islamist organization, who now runs an organization called Quilliam, which is about promoting values of justice and democracy, social justice within the Muslim world. So he's kind of flipped all the way around. It's a very interesting book. One of the things he says in it is it's very easy to construct a narrative out of half-truths, which is very, very compelling. Now, in a sense, every truth is a half-truth, because when you draw the truth out of something, you get a fraction of the picture, depending on how you draw a narrative out of it. Now, this is the thing. The world is a huge melting pot. or perhaps it's a dynamic unfolding system of all sorts of stuff going on. And much of it's crazy. We look around at the moment, we see craziness going on everywhere. But between that, underneath that craziness, there's something else going on. There's another narrative that can be drawn out. And this is a narrative that I've come to connect more and more with. There are interesting, good and positive things happening in the world all the time, not just negative things. We can look, I was having a debate before I left England with a good friend of mine who was saying, look, what can we do? The world is full of corruption and badness because it's part of our fundamental nature as human beings. Okay, that we are greedy, we are covetous, we are unpleasant. But there's a flip side to this. It's part of our nature that we are compassionate. It's part of our nature that we are considerate. It's part of our nature to expand our awareness, not just defend our ideological boundaries. There are many other aspects of human nature which can be drawn out as well. So I'm aware that you can look around, you can see craziness in the world, you can see jihad, you can see corporate corruption, you can see wage slavery, you can see massive inequality. On the flip side of it, you can also see evidence that suggests absolute poverty has never been lower. You can draw good things out of the narrative. All right, I want to focus on what I want to say here. Because what I want to say is you can draw any narrative out, and that narrative can be informative, but don't let it destroy your mind. Don't let it destroy and taint and corrupt and pollute your view of the world and your vision of what's possible, because if you do, then that kind of shift in consciousness, that's not going to help us. That's not going to help us. There was an article that I've been reading a lot of stuff about post-capitalism, about post-scarcity economies, this kind of thing. I really enjoyed reading Jeremy Rifkin's Zero Marginal Cost Society. I'd recommend that highly. And Paul Mason's Post-Capitalism. Some people look at me, they say, James, you're a socialist. I don't think I'm any kind of ist. I'm just a guy that looks at the system and unfolding on what kinds of narratives we can contribute to the conversation right now in steering the forward unfolding of ourselves, of our lives on this planet, what it is that we want. I think there's some real shifts in consciousness happening on the planet right now. You can look around at the craziness and not see this. It can be obliterated. I shared it this morning on Facebook and in that private WhatsApp group because I wanted to share it with the people in the WhatsApp group who'd seen Cowspiracy, to say there are other narratives. We're not just screwed. It isn't just we're all full in it and we're screwed. There's more to it than that. You know, there's more to us as human beings. So I found this this blog post on Huffington Post, actually. So I'm glad this is on such a popular medium and it's going out there into the world. It's by Gustavo Tanaka. Something extraordinary is happening in the world and most people haven't noticed. I've noticed. I love this article because this is what I've noticed and this is summing it up beautifully. And it's divided into several points. No one can stand the employment model anymore. No one wants to be a slave. No one wants to be just operating a cog within the market machine. People want to go beyond that. There's a cry for freedom that's screaming out around the world. It gets expressed in different ways. So I agree with this point. People can't stand the employment model anymore. They don't want to be trapped in that box. They want to go beyond that. They want to engage with life on different levels. This is spreading through the global consciousness, I really believe. I'm not going to say in everyone's minds at the same time, in different ways, in different parts of the world. It's seeping through. There's an aggregate effect. So I believe this is coming through. The entrepreneurship model is also changing, says Gustavo. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. I agree with you. People, I've been saying this recently a lot, is a lot of the people who are going on business trainings and this kind of thing, they're operating by old power paradigms, old outdated paradigms. So he talks here about the stuff that I've been talking about recently around collaboration. You know, and this is point 3, the rise of collaboration. You're seeing this all over the place. Collaborative model, the rise of the collaborative commons. Go and Google collaborative commons. See what's coming, see what's emerging. You know, and we're entering an era of the network. We are entering an era of the network collaboration. This is new power. Old power is all about the hierarchy, about top-down domination, about command and control. It is dying out. It may not look like it's dying out. You know, in some ways, old power is trying to tighten its grip, and we see that and it looks bad, but I would suggest that old power is trying to tighten its grip because old power is losing its grip. We look at the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, the TTIP deal. What's that? That's old power trying to tighten its grip, but there's something new emerging from the network. And this is the rise of collaboration he's talking about here. Sharing, collaborative economy, concepts are being implemented, and it points towards a new direction. The direction of collaborating, of sharing, of helping, of togetherness. You get more and more and more of this. The new entrepreneurs, the people who are coming up using new media, this kind of thing, they are working via the network. Working via the network. This means distributed power. This is a good thing. We're finally figuring out what the internet is point 4. Now, I'm not going to go into what he's talking about here, but the internet is a powerful medium of connection. It's a game changer, right? It is an absolute game changer. Now, the internet's a crazy old place because we get all sorts of different perspectives coming in. We get people out and out trolling, sending disinformation out there amongst misinformation, but inside of that, there's good quality information as well. We need to up our personal game. We need to up our abilities to think critically in order to evaluate that information. We need to be willing to question our own assumptions. This is one of the things I said to the group when they were looking at Cowspiracy. I said, look at the counter-narratives. There are always counter-narratives, and it isn't about which one is true. It's like you can put a graphic equalizer across a piece of music and make it sound one way, and then totally change the graphic and it'll sound very different. It'll have a very different impact on you. You could enjoy it one way and not enjoy it another way. In a sense, everything that's going on in the world, the crazy bubbling unfolding, the different narratives we pull out are like putting different graphic equalizers across. They're pulling different elements out. They're boosting certain signals and attenuating others. And that gives us a different picture, so to speak, if you forgive me for mixing metaphors. So it isn't that counter-narratives are arguing and competing with each other for truth. Every counter-narrative creates a perspective that you can look at the world from and look at the world through. This is a useful thing. The internet gives us this power to explore counter-narratives. I encourage people to do that. If you watch a film like Cowspiracy, you watch a film like Corporation, look at the counter-narratives. Sometimes I look at capitalism and I think, what a terrible system, what an awful system. Maybe I'll blog about it on my iPad, which comes about as a result of corporate capitalism. I love my iPad, you know. The technology behind the internet, maybe not the internet itself. So we see capitalism. Capitalism has had a place in shifting society. Not all good, not all bad. Some good, some bad, right? So I can see both sides of the narrative on capitalism. I look at both sides and both of them are illuminating. And there are many, many other sides as well. So this is one of the things the internet gives us the ability to do. Prior to the internet, well, the old power of command and control, top-down hierarchy, well, they got the media in their pocket. It's very, very easy to manipulate people's perceptions. It's getting harder. It's getting harder to do. I've seen numerous instances recently of the popular press, the mainstream press via their websites, putting polls up which have gone completely against the agenda of the newspaper. I've seen this happening over and over again. They're trying to keep control, but it's slipping through their fingers. The internet is a crazy thing. It's full of ugliness, craziness, misinformation, trolling, bullying. It's also full of new, fresh ideas, memes in the original sense, not in the city photo meme sense. Ideas moving through, permeating through, which shift consciousness for good and for bad. But let's assume that the good will out for now, particularly if people, more and more people, stop pulling the line of there's nothing we can do and start engaging in the global conversation. How do you want to see the world to be? What would the world look like? If you could design a world in which you didn't know what your place would be in it, but you designed a world so that everybody, you know, wherever you ended up, you're going to go, yeah, this is a good world. What would the world be like that you would design? So that's the conversation that we can all start becoming part of. If we don't like what we see in the world, you can make a difference, particularly if you engage. I engage through social media. Some people hate what I share, but I know that I've had the effect of shifting some people's perspective and consciousness. Other people just think I'm a dick, but hey, there you go. You've got to get in the conversation, you've got to stick your head above the parapet. So the internet's a real game changer. It's a powerful tool for shifting global consciousness. And we are in the unfolding, the undulations of emerging new consciousnesses, so to speak. And some are dark and some are a lot lighter, but it's an interesting process. Number 5 point on this blog post is the fall of exaggerated consumerism. I love this, the fall of exaggerated consumerism. It's not that people don't like stuff, but more and more people are recognizing, they're going, do you know what? Happiness doesn't lie in having all these material things. Happiness doesn't lie in having people look at all the stuff that I've acquired. Perhaps happiness, perhaps fulfillment lies in the richness of experience in life, in connections, in the way we engage. More and more people are waking up to the bullshit that used to be able to be pushed upon us without question through the world of marketing and all of this, that somehow we need to smoke the right cigarettes, wear the right shirt, drive the right car, wear the right cologne in order to be fulfilled in life. People are seeing through this now. This is part of the shift in consciousness. Number 6 on here is healthy and organic eating. One of the things that he points out in here, and I love this, is people are waking up enabling and strengthening healthy and organic eating. Now, not everybody at the same rate and the same speed, but there's an aggregate shift towards people starting to become aware that what we put in our mouths, what we put in our body, makes a difference to us. Not just in terms of how long we live, but in terms of the quality of our lives, the quality of our minds, these sorts of things, that this is important stuff. So gone are the days, or at least dying are the days, when people would stuff any old food into their mouth so long as the marketing guys told them it was good. You know, my daughter bought a packet of Kool-Aid the other day with her pocket money, which I was like, well, okay. And she's saying, look, it's good for you. It says vitamin C included in it. And I explained to her, I said, that's just bull, you know, it's bull, it's BS. It's health washing. You know, like greenwashing or whatever, but people are seeing through this. They're starting to switch up their consciousness around what they put in their body, which is part of people switching up their consciousness about how they live their lives, questioning the line that gets handed down through marketing and popular press. So number 7 on here is the awakening of spirituality. Now, spirituality is an interesting word. I've oft struggle with it. What does it really mean, all of this? I never really thought of myself as a deeply spiritual person. I like to think of myself more as a critical thinker. I'm sure other people think I'm a complete flake. But I think I had this epiphany one time when I was out walking, I don't know, about 18 months ago, where a lot of people talk about this. I had a moment of really feeling, almost sensing, perceiving, experiencing the interconnectedness of everything on the planet and everyone on the planet. And I thought this is for me spirituality. It's that appreciation of the interconnection of everything, and recognizing that everything that everybody does has an influence, that everything is interconnected. We're all part of a broader system and unfolding that we all participate in. And whichever form you put that, whichever bunch of metaphors you organize that through, for me that's the core of spirituality. Now, it's different from an organized religion where people are telling you what to do, how to worship, who the mediators between God or the everything and you as an individual are. People are starting to engage personally in a more Gnostic way, I suppose. And I think it's switching people on to seeing a bigger picture. You know, and some people, I would say, it's switching off as well. There's a downside of that in that people can disengage from the world and they can sit there very much kind of focused on feeling spiritual or whatever. So I think it's taken in aggregate with the rest. Nothing is entirely good or entirely bad. You know, everything fits in a certain way. I love this, number 8, unschooling trends. Unschooling trends. We are traveling the world at the moment, our family. We are all engaged in education. So it's an interesting thing. I was originally thinking we would be home educating the children, but we're all engaged in education. We're all learning and growing together. We're all exploring together, because it's a challenge for myself and Lexi, my wife, to figure out, well, how do we How do we positively sponsor our kids in developing? And not for a world that operates within old kind of market paradigms. The world is changing. I've used the moniker coaching for transformative times. These are the transformative times I'm looking at. So how am I coaching my kids for transformative times? How am I bringing them into the world? And a lot of it's about busting pre-established paradigms, stepping outside of those old power, top-down hierarchical paradigms that keep everybody in line within this great clunking leviathan of a machine. So unschooling trends. This is about questioning the presuppositions of the system, going above, going beyond those narrow parameters that we've had dictated to us. So I'm very much engaged with this on an everyday basis. So those are those 8 points. I think they're good points. I'll post a link to this article. It's a counter-narrative. It's a counter-narrative. There are counter-narratives everywhere. Use your critical thinking. Use your sort of left brain faculties to crunch the numbers. Question things, be critical, look at things from different positions. When you find yourself getting paralyzed by your thinking, step away from it. Okay? Find a narrative that reconnects you with your power, your ability to make a difference in the world. This is the important thing. It's important to be informed. That means looking at some dark stuff. But don't let looking at that dark stuff take you away from the fact that there's a lot of light stuff. Don't let it pollute your mindset to the point where you start grinding to a halt or descending into upset, fear and anger and all of these things, because these things contribute to the problem. If I put this up on Facebook the other day, if you're fed up with haters in the world and anger in the world, don't start hating on it, because then you become part of that problem. Don't hate on the hate. That's the thing. Don't get all negative about what's negative. That's not going to help. So if you have any questions about this, please do make use of the comment section below. If you're watching this on YouTube, if I post it anywhere else, just ask the questions, make the points. We're not screwed. We're not screwed. We are, I believe, on the cusp of transition. I believe a lot of the craziness we're seeing around us is due to people's fear and uncertainty around the transitional times that we're in. But I think broadly the transitional times that we're in contain within them the real potential for a shift in direction for this planet and for humankind. And I'm not saying that just purely from some kind of Pollyanna positive thinking place. I'm saying this from having a look at all of these different narratives. I've been pulled into the chasm of blackness about how screwed up the world is, but then there's so much light there as well. And I really think that things are changing, and I really would inspire you to open up and engage with this change as it's occurring.